Welcome to Gentle Calm. There is a quiet pressure that most thoughtful, capable people live under now. It does not look dramatic. It does not look chaotic. It often looks disciplined. You are always improving something. Your routines, your health, your productivity system, your morning structure, your financial plan, your mindset. There is always one more adjustment to make, one more refinement, one more optimization. And at first, this feels responsible. It feels like growth. It feels like self-respect. But if you look honestly at your internal state, something else may also be true. You rarely feel settled. You rarely feel finished. You rarely feel like anything is fully stable. Because just as one system begins to feel comfortable, you adjust it again. Just as a routine starts to become automatic, you upgrade it. Just as your mind begins to relax into familiarity, you introduce a new improvement. And your nervous system never fully stands down. We have been taught that constant optimization is maturity. That if something can be improved, it should be. That if there is a more efficient method, a better structure, a more refined approach, we are obligated to pursue it. But there is a psychological cost to living in permanent upgrade mode. And most people do not recognize that cost until they are already tired. Optimization keeps your identity in evaluation mode. When you are always assessing what could be better, your brain never categorizes your current state as sufficient. It never marks anything as complete. It never stabilizes around what already works. Instead, it remains in subtle comparison. This is not dramatic anxiety. It is low-grade instability. And low-grade instability sustained over time feels like chronic internal pressure. In the last video, we talked about how your mind counts open loops more loudly than completed ones. If you do not define closure, your nervous system continues scanning. Optimization culture creates open loops on purpose. It tells you that everything is improvable, which means nothing is finished. If your workout can be more efficient, it is not finished. If your workflow can be more streamlined, it is not finished. If your habits can be more aligned, they are not finished. If your thinking can be more positive, it is not finished. When nothing is finished, your brain remains alert. And when your brain remains alert, calm cannot stabilize. There is a difference between growth and restlessness. Growth strengthens structure. Restlessness destabilizes it. Growth says, "This works, let's reinforce it." Restlessness says, "This works, let's replace it." Growth is deliberate. Restlessness is compulsive. Most self-improvement content rewards restlessness. It promises you a better morning routine, a better system, a better mindset, a better strategy. And sometimes those tools are helpful. But if you constantly swap frameworks before they become ordinary, you never give your mind the chance to trust anything. Trust requires repetition. Repetition requires staying. Staying requires resisting the urge to upgrade everything. There is a moment in any routine where it stops feeling exciting. It becomes neutral, predictable, even slightly boring. And that is usually the moment people abandon it. Because we have been conditioned to interpret boredom as stagnation. But boredom, in this context, is stabilization. When something becomes boring, it means it no longer requires heavy cognitive effort. It means your nervous system has categorized it as familiar. Familiar systems are efficient systems. But if you interrupt that familiarity with constant improvement, you reset the stabilization process. Your brain has to evaluate again, adjust again, learn again, monitor again. That monitoring is subtle, but it is not free. It consumes energy. And when you are optimizing multiple areas of your life at once, that energy cost compounds. You may look disciplined on the outside, but internally, you are always recalibrating, always refining, always comparing. There is a hidden arrogance in the belief that everything must be improved. It assumes that your current structure is insufficient by default. It assumes that stability is complacency. It assumes that satisfaction equals stagnation. But calm requires allowing something to be enough, not perfect, enough. If you cannot let anything be enough, you will never experience psychological containment. Containment is not about shrinking your ambition. It is about reducing unnecessary evaluation. Right now, your mind may be evaluating, is this routine optimal? Is this workflow efficient enough? Is this plan ambitious enough? Is this progress fast enough? Those questions keep your identity unstable. When your identity is unstable, your nervous system remains vigilant. Vigilance feels like pressure. Pressure, sustained, feels like anxiety. There is a reason many high-achieving, improvement-oriented people feel chronically tense even when their lives are objectively stable. They have trained themselves to distrust stability. They interpret steadiness as mediocrity. They interpret repetition as laziness. They interpret satisfaction as weakness. But stability is not weakness. Stability is what allows depth. If you change your workout every 2 weeks, you do not build mastery. If you change your productivity system every month, you do not build trust. If you change your goals every quarter, you do not build identity. You build movement. Movement is not the same as progress. Sometimes movement is just avoidance of stillness. And stillness is where evaluation quiets down. Ask yourself honestly, how many systems have you started in the past year? How many planners have you used? How many frameworks have you adopted? How many resets have you initiated? Each reset feels hopeful. Each upgrade feels responsible. But each one also restarts the stabilization clock. Your mind cannot trust what constantly changes. Trust is built when something remains. This is the quiet power of choosing a modest structure and staying with it. Not because it is the best possible system, but because it is sufficient and repeatable. Sufficient systems reduce monitoring. Optimal systems often increase it. You do not need the most efficient routine. You need a routine your nervous system recognizes as reliable. You do not need the most advanced productivity tool. You need a tool you will still be using 6 months from now. You do not need to improve every area simultaneously. You need 1 or 2 stable anchors. When anchors remain steady, your identity settles. When your identity settles, evaluation decreases. When evaluation decreases, calm increases. This does not mean you stop growing. It means you grow from stability instead of from dissatisfaction. There is a quiet confidence in someone who is not constantly upgrading themselves. They are not chasing the next method. They are not rebranding their life every quarter. They are not performing improvement. They are living inside something that holds. That steadiness is not flashy. It does not attract hype, but it creates psychological durability. Durability is underrated. Durability allows you to withstand difficulty without collapsing your entire structure. Optimization culture often creates fragility. If your identity is built on constant refinement, any perceived flaw becomes destabilizing. If your structure is built on constant upgrading, any interruption feels catastrophic. But if your structure is simple and consistent, interruptions are absorbed. You do not need to redesign your life every time something feels uncomfortable. Sometimes, discomfort is just the absence of novelty. And novelty is not required for meaning. Let something become ordinary. Let your routine become familiar. Let your system become predictable. Let your goals remain steady long enough for your nervous system to believe them. There is a difference between being intentional and being endlessly corrective. Intentional growth is selective. Endless correction is anxious. Right now, consider choosing one area of your life and declaring it stable. Not perfect, stable. Decide that you will not optimize it for the next 30 days. Not because it cannot improve, but because it deserves repetition. Watch what happens to your internal pressure when you stop evaluating that one area. Notice whether your mind becomes slightly quieter. Notice whether you feel less compelled to tweak. That quiet is not stagnation. It is containment. Containment allows energy to consolidate instead of fragment. Fragmented energy feels like scattered focus. Consolidated energy feels like calm strength. You do not need to optimize your life into peace. You need to stay with something long enough for it to feel safe. Safety is not built through upgrades. It is built through consistency. If this challenges you a little, that is okay. We have been trained to believe that improvement is the highest virtue. But stability is what allows improvement to matter. Without stability, you are just rearranging parts. With stability, growth compounds. If you take one idea from this, let it be this: you do not need to optimize everything. Choose what is sufficient. Stay with it. Allow it to become boring. Let your nervous system classify it as stable. Calm is not found in constant refinement. It is found in sustained reliability. If this way of thinking resonates with you, if you want depth instead of hype, structure instead of constant self-correction, I invite you to subscribe. Not because an algorithm, but because this channel is designed to be steady. If this video gave you clarity, take a moment to like it. That small action helps more thoughtful content surface without needing to shout. If you want to go deeper, the Gentle Calm series walks through this progression step by step. From calming overthinking to building internal order and durable systems. The Gentle Calm Daily Reset Journal is there to help you create visible containment in your own life. And on Substack, I write weekly reflections expanding these ideas in a slower, more personal format. Everything is built around one principle: stability before intensity. You do not need to reinvent yourself. You need something that holds. Thank you for being here, and stay calm.